Hey everyone, the Germaniac back again, bringing you another video. Today we have an article by the Times of Israel going over essentially Germany backing Israel in saying that they are not committing a genocide currently within the Gaza Strip. So let's get into it. Germany says will intervene at the Hague on Israel's behalf, plus genocide charge. Let's just go straight into it. The German government sharply rejected on Friday allegations before the UN's top court that Israel is not committing. That UN's top court that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza and warned against political instrumentalization of the charge, as it announced it would intervene as a third party before the International Court of Justice. Government spokesperson Stefan Habestreit said in a statement that Israel was simply defending itself after inhumane onslaught by Hamas on October 7th. He said Germany would intervene as a third party before the International Court of Justice under an article allowing states to seek clarifications on the use of a multilateral convention. The move allows Germany to present its own case to the court that Israel has not infringed the Genocide Convention and has not committed or intended to commit genocide. So the first question is, what does Germany get for defending Israel? Now, we know historically they would want to not go against the Jews because, well, it would kind of be seen in bad taste for a lot of German Jews that, Germany isn't defending them. And there's like multiple cases of even German court of law saying, we have to defend Israel because, essentially Israel was kind of created, or Jews essentially started to move to Israel in larger numbers after World War II. And so we have to kind of defend them. But in this case, I mean, we've accepted a lot of Middle Easterners, so this is definitely going to rub them the wrong way as they identify with the people of Gaza and the people in the Middle East. Hence why we see more anti-Semitism within Germany as of late. And not only that, but like I said, I think I've said it before, if if Palestine, if the Gaza Strip gets completely wiped of all infrastructure, where are they going to live? It's going to most likely be NGOs who bring them to somewhere safe, aka they're going to bring them to Europe, most likely. So, because where else would these people go? The other Middle Eastern nations have already accepted a few, and they do not want to accept any more. So, is Germany going to get these millions upon millions of people because they have nowhere to go? If Israel succeeds, completely dismantles all of the Gaza Strip, what then? Anyway, we'll continue. The move allows Germany to present, I already said that, it presents its own case saying that they're essentially not committing genocide. Germany is not claiming to be legally impacted by South Africa's case and therefore does not require the ICJ's permission for third-party intervention. Signatory of the 1948 Genocide Convention, has the right to join cases and put forward its argument on the case. The convention was enacted in the wake of the mass murder of Jews in the Holocaust and defines genocide as acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part. If it's in part, I mean, they're going to get this is going to be a tough one for them to fight. I mean, I can think of a strategy for them to do, but they would have to get more influence within the courts because of how long a case like this would take. A national ethnical, racial, or religious group. Haberstreit stated that Germany intends to intervene as a third party in the main hearing, suggesting Berlin will intrude in South Africa's primary case against Israel, in which the court could take years to decide whether or not Israel has violated the Genocide Convention. So they can either throw the current party under the bus and say, yeah, we did, whoopsie doodle, or they could potentially, one strategy would be, well, take some time to try and influence the courts. So, once they're done and dusted, I mean, Gaza's going to be wiped off the map. Will Israel take that land after that? That's what's actually interesting. Accordingly, the move does not appear to influence this week's proceedings hearing when South Africa has requested an interim injunction from the court compelling Israel to implement a ceasefire. A decision on that more media matter is expected within a month. In light of German history and the crimes against humanity of the Shoah, German government in particular committed to the UN Genocide Convention, signed in 1948 in the wake of the Holocaust, Halberstreit said. So this is a big one. Because Germany was charged for committing a genocide after World War II against the Jews, doing this and having Germany backing you is kind of a big thing. It's like saying, you know, these guys, like, we've been genocided, and the guys who genocided us are now siding with us too. So these guys are against genocide now. Oh, they're standing up against it in a greater fashion. They've accepted their crimes, and so do you think they would be for someone else committing genocide? We don't think so. So that just that speaks louder than if some other nation who hasn't committed a genocide would have come out and speak out against it. I don't know how Israel's going to get out of this, because with the numbers they've killed, especially with the percentages being women and children, um, that's a tough one. How are they going to wiggle out of this one? Because what infrastructure are they even leaving? I mean, and at what point is, and what even is Hamas? Like I've said before, what even is Hamas anymore? You're amputating, was it 2 children a day? What was it? Was it a day? I think it was more than that. Like 1 or 2 legs without anesthetic, and like 47 mothers die a day. It's just kind of like, yeah, that's a big number. Like, they've more than had their like little vengeance. So we'll continue. The article essentially goes on, says, however, the German government decisively and expressly rejects the association of genocide brought against Israel before the International Court. It just has no basis in fact, they said. Okay. Prime Minister's office said Netanyahu spoke to Schultz, thanked him. His stance and Germany's stance on the side of truth moves all the citizens of Israel, according to the PMO. The blood libel, which is full of hypocrisy and malice, must not be allowed to prevail over the moral principles shared by our two countries and the entire civilized world. So, I mean, even Netanyahu is essentially trying to paint the Gazans as uncivilized, shall we say. This is why a lot of younger people, university students, are really siding with Palestine on this one, simply because, you get brought up and told that, the colonialization was the civilized world going after these tribal, like uncivilized tribal people. And just like Netanyahu's stance here, if somebody who was like a university liberal was reading this, that would definitely be rubbing them the fuck like completely the wrong way. So they would be like, oh, so they're uncivilized, so you're allowed to freely just kill them, and that's why Germany's siding with them, because you want to side with the civilized world. So it would definitely be rubbing them the wrong way. So Schultz basically says they have only one place, and he wants to basically secure the nation of Israel for Jews. Yada, yada, yada. Israel's 6 legal representatives assert that the ICJ has no jurisdiction over the complaints brought by South Africa, since they relate to the laws of the armed conflict. Not Genocide argued that random inflammatory comments of Israel politicians do not reflect policy determining the state bodies making war policy. So essentially, it was a lot of politicians basically saying, well, not the tamest thing, and stuff that could be seen as not looking too good. It's just stuff that doesn't look too good if they say something and then they start committing a genocide. It just doesn't look good. I don't have any examples off the top of my head, but I do know former politicians, basically try and paint them like they're animals. They essentially insisted that the widespread harm to Palestinian civilians during the war was a result of Hamas's massive use of civilian infrastructure for military purposes, not genocidal acts. So the reason why so many people are dying isn't because of Israel, it's because Hamas is hiding. So they're using the human shield kind of argument once again. So if you try and hide behind a civilian, not only are we going to kill the civilian, but we're going to kill you too. And we don't care. They also underlined the in-depth the steps Israel has taken to warn civilians to evacuate from the IDF operational areas and to provide humanitarian assistance to Palestinian civilians, including facilitating the establishment of field hospitals in Gaza to aid Gazans and mitigate harm to them. Now, I mean, I'm releasing another video later, but they've killed 133 UN workers. Like, that's the most UN workers have ever died, basically, in any conflict. So the warnings actually can't be that good at all. The warnings actually must suck. So, drop bigger pamphlets or give bigger warnings next time. Obviously, this is just like trying to sidestep the issue that they've murdered so many women and children, that it does just not really justify their actions, essentially, because there's too many civilians getting killed. But they did vow to destroy the terror group after the devastating assault of October 7th. Israel launched a wide-scale military campaign, basically just giving a rundown. They said they've killed 23,000 people since. This figure cannot be independently verified and are to believe to include both civilians and Hamas members killed in Gaza. And this is another thing. How many Hamas are there? Like, what is the number of Hamas? I better look that up later because that's an interesting one. You've killed 23,000 people, mostly women and children, but how many Hamas are left? How many Hamas are left? That's what we were trying to know. That's what we're trying to figure out, basically. When will it end? Your plan is to get rid of Hamas. What's the estimate? We don't know. In my opinion, it's basically everyone now because why wouldn't you want to join with Hamas? Basically, you women and children get their limbs blown off. You're not even getting that great of a warning, and all your infrastructure is completely annihilated. So terrible, terrible. But Israel is the power, and the power decides everything. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, give it a like, subscribe. I'm doing more German news in English, and I'll see you all later.